my class. I don't think they're gonna disown me.
Next time.
Thank God I got a great quarterback with me.
It's Study Buddy Week.
Cheap, correct.
I've grown a fondness for Chase, but this game will try to rock you.
I said chimp, I did.
Everyone heard orangutan.
Chimpgate.
Jack's out to get me.
The alphabet is made up of vowels and what other type of letters?
Non-vowels.
The 1% Club season finale has the toughest question yet. Monday on Fox.
Now, your primetime local news leader. Fox 22 News at 10.
In Milo, property taxes are skyrocketing, leading some residents to wonder if they'll be able to stay in their homes. Good evening, and thank you for joining us. I'm Beth Jones. A heated select board meeting tonight offered a chance for residents to make their voices heard. As we reported on Monday, some residents are seeing their taxes double or even triple this year. Tonight's meeting quickly became heated, with some residents directing strong language towards town officials. According to the town, a recent reevaluation alongside a $47,000 county tax assessment and other factors are all contributing to the tax hike. In that meeting, town officials said they have filed a lawsuit against their former assessor and hope to regain funds to lower taxes that way. Residents are hoping for a solution.
This is a very, very impoverished demographic, without any insults to anyone. This is a struggling community, and you can see it when you drive around, see the conditions of houses, people just trying to keep them together.
Well, Milo's next select board meeting is scheduled for September 9th. Maine State Police are investigating a suspicious package at the Maine Revenue Service building in Augusta. It happened this evening just before 5 p.m. Maine State Police say Capitol Police responded to a report of a suspicious package that had been opened inside Maine Revenue Services, which is located at 51 Commerce Drive in Augusta. The individual who handled the package moved it outside and contacted authorities. Maine State Police bomb squad was called in to assist, and out of an abundance of caution, the building was evacuated while the package was evaluated. Investigators determined through X-ray imaging and field testing that there was no explosive or biological hazard inside the package. No injuries were reported. The district attorney for both Kennebec and Somerset counties announced the conviction of an Augusta man for years of domestic abuse, including an attempt to strangle the victim. District Attorney Megan Maloney said in a statement that 41-year-old Brandon Toby was sentenced to 20 years in prison with all but 9 years suspended, as well as 6 years of probation. The statement said Toby and the victim were in a relationship for 3 years, first living together, then getting married and having a child. It said physical assaults began shortly after the couple moved in together. According to the statement, at one point, Toby tried to strangle his wife while she was holding their 2-month-old infant daughter, telling his wife he, quote, wanted her to die. Maloney says it was this incident that ultimately resulted in that 20-year sentence. Well, some property owners in Bangor are worried about squatters camping out on their land, saying it's unsafe and driving down the interest to visit or move to the area. Our Calvin White explains.
As Bangor faces a homelessness crisis, local business and property owners are concerned about squatters potentially affecting the city's economy and resident safety. The Bangor Police Department says it has received calls regarding squatting consistently throughout the past few years, but that they see an increase during summer and winter months.
It's something that's existed my entire career here. There are times when it exists more or is more prevalent of a problem. Certainly it depends on the time of season, whether it's warm out, cold out.
Recently, local real estate investor Philip Henry got a call from a fellow investor about strange activity on one of his properties.
Sure enough, there was two tents, that had 3 individuals in one tent, another individual in another tent. They had debris everywhere. There were dirty needles on the ground.
Henry has dealt with squatters on many of his properties, from commercial to apartment buildings. He says that affects people's perception of Bangor and can sway people away from moving in or even just visiting and trying out a new restaurant.
And so they come in and they're like, geez, is it safe here? What's going on here? Yeah, I think we changed our mind. We're gonna keep shopping.
Henry says he understands the difficult situation the homeless population is in, but hopes that something can be done to benefit both them and business owners.
If somebody is suffering from homelessness, we do have resources that we try to, make people aware of, so they're not out on the street.
Bangor police say they can recommend these programs, but are unable to relocate someone unless they have committed an arrestable offense. They do say anyone found to be trespassing can be told to leave, and then can be arrested for subsequent trespassing offenses. In Bangor, Calvin White, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
The Orono Town Council has approved additional funding for a new police station. They discussed several ways of paying the additional $1.25 million, including bonds and taking $1 million from the town's fund balance. The council adopted an updated fund balance policy that requires roughly 2 months of funds be kept in the account at all times, but they say the police station funding could immediately violate that policy.
I like the fund balance policy we're suggesting. I don't like the idea of passing what's a good policy and immediately saying, but we're immediately not going to follow it. It doesn't feel right to me. It doesn't feel prudent to me.
The town manager said using $1 million for the police station could also leave them with a negative checking account balance for a short time in August of 2027. The additional $1.25 million for the police station puts Orono's total bonds for upcoming capital projects at more than $10 million. Well, more than $600,000 is headed to Maine to support the state's forest economy. Senators Angus King and Susan Collins say the grants are going to 3 companies to support environmentally sustainable innovation and help expand markets for Maine's forest products. ND Paper Inc. will be getting $300,000 to upgrade wood processing equipment to enhance production by 15,000 tons annually. Robbins Lumber East Baldwin will get more than $235,000 to upgrade sawmill processing technologies that will improve operational efficiency. And the Avedis Zildjian Company will get more than $87,000 to develop a wood energy system to increase low-value wood markets by 1,500 tons. Switching gears now, a water main break in Ellsworth means a traffic detour will be in place for the foreseeable future. The main break happened in the Bridge Hill area. Public Works says Tuesday folks saw water coming up out of the pavement. Crews isolated the main break and dug in to start making the repairs. They also had to reroute the water supply to keep water flowing downtown. And in that process, a secondary water main break was triggered. Now, both water main breaks have been repaired, but the DOT is still assessing damage to the roadway so that they can make repairs to that. The section of Bridge Hill from Court Street down the hill to where the Bucksport Road intersects with the Surrey Road is closed.
Because of the amount of gravel and stuff that got washed out from under the pavement, we just don't feel it's safe to have heavy traffic going over the road right now. So we would encourage people coming from Bucksport, it might be better for you to take the Christian Ridge Road and then maybe come down around Grand Street to get into town.
They are asking the public to be patient while damage is assessed and repairs are made. A boil water advisory is currently in effect, but is expected to be lifted sometime tomorrow. Well, a man from Skowhegan donated over 400 miniature fire trucks to the Skowhegan Fire Department in memory of his late father. Our Sam Miller tells us the collection represents his father's passion for public service.
At 8 a.m. on Wednesday, the Skowhegan Fire Department dedicated a collection of 446 miniature fire trucks to the family of a fireman who spent his life answering the call of duty. The collection was donated by Darrell White of Skowhegan on behalf of his family in memory of his late father, John, who passed away on March 25, 2025. John was a volunteer firefighter in Connecticut since 1952, and his experiences instilled a fascination with fire trucks and all things firefighting related.
So to have that passion for the fire service that we all share, it's great.
That love of firefighting is what inspired his collection of mini fire trucks, which grew to nearly 600 trucks from across the world spanning over 20 years. Darrell says the goal of his father's collection was to have it serve as an educational tool for children.
I just think inspiring people to be aware of what's happening here And then again, the youth. I just think it's great to have positive role models.
Daryl added that the display symbolizes his father's hard work, as well as the theme that he lived his life by.
Service over self was his theme, and that pertained to family, his time in the military, his role with his church, his community. He, even when he was like 90 years old and using a walker, he'd want to help me bring wood in from the wood pile. I mean, that's just the way he was.
Service over self. There's not a better choice of words to commemorate the life of John Whitney White, a dedicated firefighter, family man, and person of service. In Skowhegan's Sam Miller, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
Well, in an effort to reduce recidivism rates, the Penobscot County Sheriff's Office is taking part in a nationally recognized initiative that aims to transform the lives of incarcerated individuals through education. Our Grace Blanchard has details.
The Penobscot County Sheriff's Office is joining a nationwide effort to equip inmates with the skills and knowledge needed to break the cycle of incarceration.
We are going to protect the public from dangerous people. That's critical. But while people are incarcerated, we have a chance to offer them an opportunity to change their lives.
The Sheriff's Office is the first site in Maine to launch IGNITE, which stands for Inmate Growth Naturally and Intentionally Through Education. The initiative, formed by the National Sheriff's Association, is designed to reduce recidivism by offering structured access to education online.
This is a powerful tool for the individual themselves, the inmates, but what a powerful tool for our staff as well to know that somebody's more focused on their education and self-help than they are of being disruptive or being caught up in their addiction.
The program has now reached 40 counties. It encourages participation by allowing inmates to earn privileges through consistent engagement.
What better way to do than to use education opportunity for them while they're there to help to reintegrate into society in a constructive manner.
Researchers from Harvard, Brown, and University of Michigan found that just 1 month of IGNITE reduces 3-month recidivism by 24%.
I hope that this is a standard for county jails someday. I hope that we don't remember a time when there wasn't IGNITE, where that's just, how a county jail does business.
Sheriff Morton said the initiative provides a creative approach to easing overcrowding and structural issues at the aging facility.
We know that we have a dilapidated building. Here's something that's really powerful happening inside there, and we hope that this bridge, this pathway to recovery will start in the jail and continue on when they leave.
In Bangor, Grace Blanchard, ABC 7 and Fox 22 News.
And let's pause now, folks, for a first look at our forecast.
Well, high temperatures for today back up in the upper 70s and low 80s. And this is about average. We're going to see that once again for tomorrow. You can see here about 5 p.m. it is actually a bit cooler, as we do have some showers and thunderstorms that are going to make their way through tomorrow. Taking a look at radar now, a few showers and thunderstorms out there. Those will fizzle out by about midnight, increasing clouds tomorrow morning before we do see some more chances for showers and thunderstorms heading throughout much of the day tomorrow into the afternoon for tomorrow. But for tonight, temperatures falling into the upper 50s with some increasing clouds.
And we will be right back with more news.
He put his life on the line for his country. Senator Susan Collins isn't forgetting him or any of our veterans. She's delivered millions in federal funding to improve housing for veterans across Maine and provide housing vouchers to make sure Maine veterans have a place to call home. She's also worked tirelessly to provide the quality mental health care our veterans deserve. Call and tell Senator Collins to keep fighting for our veterans.
Chevy drivers across America will do a lot in the next 5 years. But one thing they won't do is pay interest on their new Chevy. Right now, get 0% financing for 5 years on all 2026 Silverado 1500 models. With no payments for 90 days. Because you've earned this summer. Now it's time to go get it.
Visit your Maine Chevy dealers.
I'm Jim with Lowry Law. A husband and wife called me after they were hit by a drunk driver.
We got them a $400,000 settlement they were able to use for their retirement. Call me. I'm your go-to guy.
I went to work in the woods after high school. The harder we worked, the more that the companies took from us. That's why we organized. We made them listen. People are doing everything they can right and still cannot get ahead. Susan Collins keeps telling us everything is just fine. Who has she served? She has served Donald Trump. She has served the billionaires. She has served herself. We are getting screwed, and I'm running to change that.
Government that Works PAC's responsible for the content of this ad.
Yeah. Football is back. The NFL on Fox.
Back and better.
Let's go.
Tell him what's happening. How did he do that?
Going for it all. Oh.
The NFL on Fox all season long.
Looking at headlines around our state, 7 school districts are now getting money to address and prevent student homelessness. The schools that will benefit include Portland, South Portland, Cape Elizabeth, Biddeford, Lewiston, Bath, and Ellsworth. They will split $2 million in grant funding from Maine Housing. The money will pay for housing specialists, providing housing stability services, and in some cases, offering financial assistance. Biddeford school officials say cost of living is a visible problem in York County.
Surprising too, the scope of or what a family who is experiencing housing insecurity now as opposed to maybe 10 years ago has very much changed. Again, you have 2 parents in the household, they're both working full-time jobs. They're not able to pay for rent. And so these families are doing everything that they can.
Maine Housing says it will work with districts like Biddeford to monitor how the money is spent and how many families are served, whether it's avoiding homelessness or moving them into permanent housing. And Lewiston leaders are officially taking action today after a noticeable uptick in violence throughout the city. This is being done through a community engagement and accountability initiative to ramp up enforcement and increase police presence. Max Williams got a first look at the initiative against Lewiston violence taking shape.
What's great about it is it has internet connection.
Tonight we're getting an exclusive look inside the Lewiston Police Mobile Command Unit, typically used for major crime scenes, but now it can be a key asset to helping curb the city's uptick in violence.
What are you going to be doing throughout the night, throughout the day?
Yeah, so what's nice about this is obviously it's climate controlled. So if it's raining, if it's hot, if it's cold, we can bring people in here, sit them down, doing interviews. But if sometimes some community members want to talk to us and they don't want to be out in the open, they can come on in here and we can talk to them. And that's what this whole thing is getting to know our neighbors and trying to find out some information about the recent shootings and violence that we've been having in the city.
The truck will be stationed where police feel it's needed at least 2 times a week and will be staffed with 4 paid overtime officers for 8 hours per day. The pay coming from the police budget.
More to come. Bike patrols we anticipate in the coming weeks. We actually have some bikes at the shop right now.
In the days leading up to today's deployment of the command unit, a person was shot on Bradley Street on Monday and taken to the hospital. Police are still trying to find a suspect. The same day, a car with 5 people inside crashed into a police car after officers tried to stop them for driving erratically. All 5 ran off. Police were able to catch 2 who were juveniles. They also found this replica gun at the scene.
I walk around at night. I figure God's got my back.
We spoke with some people who say they already feel defeated.
I just watch my back because it's just too much of it.
Fears reaching an all-time high for this man. He didn't want to go on camera or tell us his name because he's worried he could be the next target.
The wife and I are trying to move out of the neighborhood.
And Lewiston police say they just got approved to actually have some officers take home police cars in hopes of reducing response times.
And that was Max Williams reporting. Folks, we'll be right back with a look at some national headlines. Stay tuned.
What is Spectrum Internet? It's secure internet for you and your family.
It's keeping kids like us safe online.
It's everything you want it to be. Switch today at spectrum.com.
Since 1956, Bangor Federal Credit Union has been a part of many milestone moments. Whether it's been opening that first savings account, helping Mainers buy their first car, getting families into the home of their dreams, or helping set the stage for retirement, Bangor Federal's been there every step of the way. Serving families, friends, and neighbors since 1956, Bangor Federal Credit Union. You belong here.
You don't get to buy the government that you want.
But let's look at what Troy Jackson did, because Troy Jackson likes to keep it in the family. When Jackson was state Senate president, his son was one of the highest paid lobbyists in town. Special interests paid his son, and Jackson changed his positions. Was it a coincidence, or was something corrupt? Troy Jackson is just another dirty politician. SLF PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
When the morning light hits Maine, start your day with a good morning, Maine. Craig Colson, Janessa Bishop by your side, bringing the stories that matter statewide. Local news and the forecast ahead. Wake up informed, ready to go on ABC 7 and Fox 22.
At Spectrum, we believe you shouldn't have to choose between speed, reliability, and value. That's why Spectrum fiber-powered internet gives you all three for just $40 a month. Call now or go online.
You're watching Fox 22, Bangor.
The trial against a Massachusetts woman accused of killing her young children nears its third week. Lindsay Clancy's defense team maintains she was suffering from severe mental illness leading up to the incident, as details of her medical care now come into focus. Fox's Gernal Scott has the latest.
The trial of Lindsay Clancy entered day 12 Wednesday as she faces charges of first-degree murder in the deaths of her 3 children in 2023. Clancy pleaded not guilty to the murder charges. The defense claims she suffered from postpartum psychosis when she strangled her children, who ranged in age from 5 years old to 8 months.
The question is, was Lindsay Clancy acting in a way that she knew the depths and the seriousness of her behavior?
Prosecutors argue the deaths were planned, as Clancy convinced her now ex-husband Patrick to leave the house before killing the children and then jumping out a window, which paralyzed her from the waist down.
We're going to find that mental illness played a role here, and it did affect her ability to distinguish right from wrong.
The focus of the trial now turns to the medications Clancy was taking and the type of psychiatric care she received prior to the incident. The defense has pointed to several messages from Clancy asking her former nurse practitioner to change her medications after feeling depressive symptoms and having trouble sleeping.
You see that communication could have been better, but you can't look strictly at the number of medications. It's about the right medication for the right person at the right time, adjusted.
And the Clancys have since sued several of Lindsay's caretakers over the quality of that care.
This woman was clearly mentally ill, but I think it's wrong to put the mental health system on trial here. We're doing the best we can with what we have.
Clancy could face life in prison if she's convicted. Gernal Scott, Fox News.
Well, we're learning more about President Trump's secret plane switch in Turkey last month to evade a possible Iranian threat. This as negotiations between the U.S. and Iran to end the conflict and reopen the Strait of Hormuz remain deadlocked. Fox's Rebecca Castor has more from Washington.
I'm number one on their list before you. But if I go, you go. Right?
That's what the president told reporters aboard Air Force One on his way home from the NATO summit last month. But if Iran had targeted the president's plane leaving Turkey, that may not have been the case. The Washington Post revealed this week President Trump secretly switched planes before takeoff at the request of Secret Service in an effort to shield him from a credible Iranian threat. While Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, and members of the press all stayed on board.
They were unwitting decoys. I just have to believe there might have been a better way to do this. Maybe ground that plane until the president lands in the UK.
A senior Trump official told Fox News Today, though, that the decoy plane was flying under the protection of U.S. fighter jets, and the cabinet officials knew the president wasn't on board. Pushing back on the narrative, the Secret Service left anyone at risk.
I think actually the plane that I flew on was at greater risk. I go by Secret Service and the military. They wanted me to go on a different flight.
President Trump confirmed the ruse but defended the decision. He also lashed out at Iran Wednesday, reiterating the U.S. has total control over the Strait of Hormuz, but ship traffic is near a 3-month low. Earlier this week, the president said he was low-keying negotiations, while Iran gave a list of demands it wants in exchange for reopening the strait. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
Meanwhile, the Trump administration is rolling out a new wave of health initiatives targeting foods and childhood vaccines. The politics and the timing of the announcements, however, are under scrutiny. Fox's Alex Hogan reports.
The Trump administration is looking to add momentum to its Make America Healthy Again agenda, but there is concern about how some actions are being received ahead of the midterms. President Trump signed an executive order scaling back the 18 recommended immunizations for children, spacing them out and calling to separate combined MMR vaccines into individual shots.
My administration is recognizing gold standard childhood vaccine recommendations for only 11 core vaccinations against the most serious and dangerous diseases.
Trump's former Surgeon General reacting the president is getting really bad advice in regards to the impacts this is going to have on vaccine confidence and vaccine preventable diseases, adding this is going to be an issue citizens vote on in the midterms. According to Fox News polling, only 4 in 10 Americans say they support scaling back on vaccines, although that number is higher among Trump's base. 53% of MAGA Republicans favor eliminating vaccine requirements for children attending public schools. In another new MAHA push, HHS is proposing a new rule that would require manufacturers to notify the FDA whenever they add a substance they consider generally recognized as safe to food. Previously, notifying the FDA was voluntary. The new rule would make it mandatory, closing a long-standing loophole.
The proposal will give the agency greater visibility into the substances that are entering our food supply.
Another administration effort calls for a federally recognized definition of what ultra-processed means. Congress is advancing its own legislation requiring front-of-package warning labels on ultra-processed foods.
1 out of 5 children in America is obese, and that translates into diabetes, which is, as you know, just a terrible illness impacting our country.
Despite the ideological distance between Republicans and Democrats on a lot of these issues, polls show Americans on both sides of the aisle prioritize protecting public health over keeping costs low. In Washington, Alex Hogan, Fox News.
The countdown to the midterms is on, and last night 6 states decided who will face off in November. We go back to Fox's Rebecca Castor.
I'm usually standing here celebrating with Lindsay. So I know he's looking down right now.
A touching moment on one of the biggest primary nights this season. Darlene Graham, the sister of the late South Carolina Senator Lindsey Graham, is heading to a runoff against Congressman Ralph Norman to replace her brother on November's ballot. But the drama last night was in Wisconsin, where self-identified Democratic Socialist Francesca Hong surprisingly lost her bid for governor to a more moderate Democrat, Milwaukee County Executive David Crowley, a sign the party's far-left wing may not have enough steam to win in swing states.
The fight continues no matter what. We are going to collectively reject despair, and we are going to unite.
But the far left did get a win in Minnesota, where progressive candidate Lieutenant Governor Peggy Flanagan beat moderate Congresswoman Angie Craig for the Democratic nomination for Senate, despite working under Governor Tim Walz during a major state welfare fraud scandal.
I just got off the phone with Congresswoman Craig, and she assured me that she is in this fight with us. We both know that we just can't hand Donald Trump another Senate seat.
In Minnesota's governor race, U.S. Senator Amy Klobuchar easily secured the Democratic nomination, while Trump-endorsed My Pillow founder Mike Lindell lost the GOP primary to State House Speaker Lisa Damuth. In Washington, Rebecca Castor, Fox News.
New economic data is giving the White House reason to believe inflation is moving in the right direction, but Americans are still worried about the rising prices as the midterms loom. Fox's Mike Emanuel explains.
The latest inflation numbers coming in cooler than expected, a sign the Iran war may not be dragging down the economy as much as first thought.
We were worried there was going to be a Fed hike if this came in hot, and it was actually pretty encouraging.
Consumer prices increased in July by 3.4% compared to a year ago, a mild decrease from June's 3.5% and a significant improvement from 4.2% in May. Despite the good news on paper, many Americans may not be feeling it all that much, with prices still rising faster than wages can keep up.
Food prices keep going up to the point that some folks are taking on credit card debt just to buy groceries.
Oil prices remain elevated during the Iran war, with the national gas average sitting at just over $4 a gallon. Energy costs also factoring into a 2.2% jump for airline fares from June to July.
Gas is so important because so many goods have to move around the economy. People have to get to work, and higher gas prices translates over time into higher prices for most goods and services.
A recent Fox poll shows the cost of living is still the #1 issue for voters this November. The administration blames its predecessors.
We understand what people are feeling, and in part it came about because of the runaway inflation under Joe Biden. Inflation has decelerated a lot.
The latest numbers could ease concerns of the Fed raising rates, though inflation still remains above the central bank's 2% target. In Washington, Mike Emanuel, Fox News.
And we have more national headlines after the break.
One weekend, one city. This is history in the making.
Purple Co is open and here to stay. Come join a growing community of like-minded people with monthly events, arts and concerts, daily deals, and the best products and prices in the state. Plus, don't miss Purple Co Bangor's annual party on 4/18. Now with 4 locations from Portland to Bangor. Come check us out today.
Whoever said fork in the road must have been hungry. Hungry for the Sorrento and the capability that keeps going wherever life takes you. So go ahead, take the fork in the road. With a capable Sorrento, every way forward is the right way. Get 0% APR for up to 48 months or $3,000 customer cash on the purchase of a new 2026 Sorrento.
I'm a 5th-generation logger and the son of a public school teacher. A dad who worked 16-hour days, and that still wasn't enough. So when they tried to replace us with foreign labor, I led a blockade of the border. Susan Collins didn't help us then, and she's certainly not helping us now. We're all getting crushed out here. Healthcare, housing, heat. We've got to fight back. We're all hungry for it. Maine is ready for a change. I'm Troy Jackson. I'm running for Senate, and I approve this message.
Got old metal and junk cars? Turn that clutter into cash at Daddy and Daughters. We make recycling easy, fast, and fair. From Skowhegan to Dover Foxcroft, from Troy to Lee, you can trust our certified scales and friendly service, offering top prices for junk vehicles in Maine. Whether you drop off or we pick up, Daddy and Daughters covers central and eastern Maine. Come see us at one of our 4 locations and watch your scrap pay off. Daddy and Daughters turn scrap into cash.
Purple Co is open and here to stay. Come join a growing community of like-minded people with monthly events, arts and concerts, daily deals, and the best products and prices in the state. Plus, don't miss Purple Co Bangor's annual party on 4/18. Now with 4 locations from Portland to Bangor. Come check us out today.
Cases of cyclosporiasis have now topped 24,000 nationwide, though the pace of new infections has eased over the last week. While the problematic lettuce has been dealt with, there's now something else in the produce aisle that could be causing problems for your gut. Fox's Kevin Cork has more.
The foodborne illness ravaging Americans' stomach over the last month appears to be slowing down, but we're not out of the woods just yet. The CDC has logged nearly 14,000 lab-confirmed cases of the intestinal parasite Cyclospora, with another 10,000 under investigation. One caveat with those numbers is that there's a 6-week delay between the start of symptoms and when a case gets logged.
And so we're playing catch up on that. Cyclospora has always been a tricky parasite for CDC and FDA to investigate.
Federal health officials believe the original contaminant, Taylor Farms lettuce sourced from Mexico, has been contained. The FDA commissioner trying.
We're in the thick of summer, and it's no secret it's hot. Some climate experts.
Issue there with that story about cyclosporiasis. We'll try to get that back to you at another point in the show. Meanwhile, California pistachio farmers are facing their toughest harvest in more than a decade after record-breaking heat devastated crops across the state. The damage is expected to have an impact on consumers as well, with warnings that pistachio prices could rise as the industry absorbs losses. Fox's Kelly Saberi has more.
All right, pistachio lovers, when you head to the store between late fall and winter, you might see about a 20 to 30% increase on the price of pistachios. But if you are a pistachio farmer, you are dealing with losing about half of your harvest here in the San Joaquin Valley. 3 counties say that in total they may be losing out on $800 million, and now they're actually asking for disaster relief. The temperature spiked during the pistachio's critical development period in the spring. These nuts ideally want temperatures in the mid-60s during that critical period, but the valley here experienced roughly 95-degree temperatures for about a whole week. The heat was so intense, it aborted developing pistachios. The little branches called rakies literally burnt to a crisp. And spring wasn't the only season of concern. The trees need about 1,000 hours of sufficient cold on top of this, but the winter was also warmer, only compounding the problem. This all while Iran and Turkey's pistachio supplies are constrained by the war. Joe Coelho is a 4th-generation farmer who says this is just one piece of the pie for farmers in California.
There's something new all the time. No, they're constantly evolving, or they're constantly proposed bills that we have to monitor, and we have to go and kind of support or lobby against and try to, point the train in the right direction at any time.
The buds for next year's harvest are already on these stress trees, so we can expect the extreme heat from this past spring to interfere with next year's production. In Wasco, California, Kelly Saberi, Fox Business.
And now we'll go back to that story with Kevin Cork about cyclosporiasis.
The foodborne illness ravaging Americans' stomach over the last month appears to be slowing down, but we're not out of the woods just yet. The CDC has logged nearly 14,000 lab-confirmed cases of the intestinal parasite Cyclospora, with another 10,000 under investigation. One caveat with those numbers is that there's a 6-week delay between the start of symptoms and when a case gets logged.
And so we're playing catch up on that. Cyclospora has always been a tricky parasite for CDC and FDA to investigate.
Federal health officials believe the original contaminant, Taylor Farms lettuce sourced from Mexico, has been contained. The FDA commissioner trying to reassure Americans that it's all been removed from store shelves.
We have the safest food supply in the world, period, full stop. Americans should feel confident in eating fresh produce, including leafy greens at this point.
Cases in some states are being linked to international travel.
Exposed through eating contaminated food or drinking contaminated water.
Health experts still recommend washing all your fruits and vegetables. If you really want to play it safe, cook it above 160 degrees.
If you're concerned, cook it. It kills it all.
Meanwhile, there's a new concern, a salmonella outbreak linked to jalapeno peppers. The folks over at Taylor Farms say that salsas, dips, and guacamole from their shop are all being recalled out of an abundance of caution. In Washington, I'm Kevin Cork, Fox News.
Well, heat is the world's deadliest climate hazard, and as Fox's Ted Lindner explains, experts don't believe cities are properly prepared for it.
We're in the thick of summer, and it's no secret it's hot. Some climate experts have already said things could get hotter with that El Nino strengthening in the Pacific. And now, weather experts are saying it's getting hotter more often.
A extreme heat event that would have previously occurred once every 50 years would now be likely to occur 8 times within that same period.
And as the globe heats up, researchers are looking at efforts towards preparation and whether cities are even ready for extreme heat. Experts are saying now it doesn't appear that way, and there's room to improve.
Our sort of proactive regulations and management of heat hazards is underdeveloped.
Associate Professor Sarah Miro has been researching heat resilience at the University of Colorado Boulder. She breaks her studies down into 3 categories of strategies: heat mitigation, heat management, and heat governance.
Heat mitigation strategies are things that you do to actually try and cool your community. Heat management strategies are things that we do to actually protect people from the heat that we are not able to mitigate. Heat governance strategies are about building new institutions that can better coordinate heat resilience efforts.
Miro says communities need to be thinking about strategies that work best for them in reducing any heat-related risks they may be facing. For example, a city may consider appointing a chief heat officer, which she says many cities around the world have already done. I'm Ted Lindner, Fox News.
The search for life in the rubble of Colombia's powerful earthquake grew more desperate on Wednesday as search teams pushed up against a key timed threshold to locate survivors and signs of life. Fox's Tonya J. Powers has more.
After 36 hours trapped under the rubble, a 32-year-old woman is rescued by crews in Colombia. First responders celebrating small victories as they work against the clock to find more survivors following a 7.4 magnitude earthquake that killed more than 200 people.
I feel eager to work, eager to help, to pitch in. You know, it's a humanitarian effort. It comes from the heart.
But the widespread nature of the devastation is putting a major strain on Colombia's new government, which has been scrambling to respond. First responders say they've been given the basics, but no heavy digging equipment yet. So most of the work is being done by community volunteers.
We've been provided with food and water, and we can see all the young people from this neighborhood pitching in to rescue those who may still be alive.
The UN is now gearing up for a major recovery effort, but it won't be easy. Officials say the impact of the earthquake was much bigger than they first thought, and high-tech gear is now being used to assess the damage.
We have an imaginary remote sensing methodology, and this is producing the first results in terms of economic damage and structural damage.
Meanwhile, aid is still pouring in from the international community, with many of Colombia's neighbors saying they're just getting started.
We send our full solidarity to the Colombian people, to the president and his government.
According to civilian-run databases in Colombia, some 4,000 people are still missing 2 days after the quake. In New York, Tonya J. Powers, Fox News.
Folks, when we come back, we have your full 5-day forecast. Keep it right here.
High temperatures for today back up in the upper 70s and low 80s. Are these going to be the same temperatures we're going to see into the weekend with these chances for showers and thunderstorms? I'll have details on that coming up.
Your call is important to us.
You've heard this before, too many times. Tired of being customer 45978? Yeah, we would be too. Speed means fast uploads, no lag, and zero buffering. But it also means calling you back, showing up on time, and treating you like a person, not a problem. So whether you're working, streaming, gaming, or all three, it is time to make the switch to a provider that actually tries. Go NetSpeed. Service isn't dead. It just moved local.
From the heart of Maine, where rugged beauty meets timeless craftsmanship, Richard Henderson and Sons Masonry, taming the outdoors through groundwork, retaining walls and seawalls, building custom fireplaces that become the centerpiece of your home, crafting granite steps and patios that invite you outdoors, designing hardscapes that turn yards into living spaces, built to last, crafted for life. Richard Henderson and Sons Masonry, quality in every stone.
With a new Toyota from Toyota's National Sales Event, summer plays on. Whether you're teaching the art of tailgating, showing up for the home team, or finding the ultimate skybox, with a new Toyota, you can keep summer playing anywhere.
You could get an affordable $315 a month lease on a fuel-sipping Tacoma SR5 with a $16,024 total contract cost. Plus, get 2 years no-cost maintenance.
Come in today.
Toyota, let's go places.
He put his life on the line for his country. Senator Susan Collins isn't forgetting him or any of our veterans. She's delivered millions in federal funding to improve housing for veterans across Maine and provide housing vouchers to make sure Maine veterans have a place to call home. She's also worked tirelessly to provide the quality mental health care our veterans deserve. Call and tell Senator Collins to keep fighting for our veterans.
We're ready for baseball, and off we go.
Major League Baseball, all season long on Fox.
Tonight's weather is brought to you by Rogan's Memorials. Give the gift of comfort through thoughtful planning with locations in Bangor, Bucksport, and Lincoln. Well, let's take a look at those high temperatures from today. Very similar to yesterday, back in those upper 70s and low 80s. We're going to see those once again for tomorrow. However, you can see about 4 or 5 o'clock, we do have some showers and thunderstorms making their way through, making it feel a bit cooler outside at that point in the day, and then we're going to see very similar temperatures once again on Friday. Average high this time of year is 80 for the next week or so. We are looking at temperatures right near 80. A cool front does come through on Monday, giving us temperatures back in the mid 70s, but then we're right back up into the upper 70s to low 80s. Now, it's also been very comfortable out there. However, you can see as we do have those couple chances for showers and thunderstorms throughout the next week, the humidity will start to climb as well because we'll have moisture in the atmosphere. Taking a look at winds out there, going to go calm for tonight. Tomorrow we'll start to see wind gusts of up to 20 to 25 miles per hour as those showers and thunderstorms make their way through. Taking a look out right now, we don't have any watches or warnings in our area. However, down by Portland, they do have a beach hazard statement. Taking a look, we do have some showers and thunderstorms on the way. Radar right now, you can see that these will all fizzle out by midnight. However, we do have numerous chances for showers and thunderstorms as we do have a low pressure system that is making its way through our area as it's rotating just to the north of us. So tonight we'll see increasing clouds. Then the showers and thunderstorms do start to roll through later afternoon tomorrow, lasting through much of the evening, but done by about midnight. Nicer weather is on the way for Friday. We will see it, maybe a stray shower. For tonight, temperatures back in the upper 50s, increasing clouds, and you can see those few showers out there for tomorrow. Temperatures right near 80, so upper 70s to low 80s. Mostly cloudy skies, and we will see those scattered showers and thunderstorms. Taking a look at your extended forecast, showers and thunderstorms for tomorrow. Upper 70s return on Friday into Saturday with low 80s, plus lots of sunshine returns as well for Friday and Saturday. We'll have increasing clouds on Saturday night into Sunday, giving us mostly cloudy skies on Sunday with temperatures near 80. Cold front does come through on Monday, bringing our temperatures down to those mid 70s with another chance for some showers and thunderstorms.
Sports is next. Don't go anywhere.
Are your gutters weighed down by debris causing them to sag and overflow? I'm Tony Hafford with TC Hafford Basement Systems. Clogged gutters lead to costly repairs for your home, so skip the cleaning and stop the clogs with Gutter Shutter. Gutter Shutter, the world's best gutter, is a high-performance gutter with a lifetime no-clog guarantee. Stop the clutter, get Gutter Shutter. Call TC Hafford Basement Systems today for all things basementy.
You don't get to buy the government that you want.
But let's look at what Troy Jackson did, because Troy Jackson likes to keep it in the family. When Jackson was state Senate president, his son was one of the highest paid lobbyists in town. Special interests paid his son, and Jackson changed his positions. Was it a coincidence, or was something corrupt? Troy Jackson is just another dirty politician. SLF PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Way up north in Maine, down a road less traveled, lies Golden Road Crossing. We have everything you need to gear up for epic hikes, days spent fishing, and nights under the star-filled skies. Join us at Golden Road Yacht Club for cold drinks and Maine-grown comfort food. Gather round to make new friends, share stories, and create memories to last a lifetime. Come visit us at Golden Road Crossing, your hub on Maine's legendary Golden Road.
The New England Patriots open their 2026 preseason hosting the Indianapolis Colts this Thursday at 7:30, and you can watch it on Fox 22.
Welcome back in, everyone. Over the weekend, the Maine football team held team scrimmages against each other, and lots of progress has been made since day one. Our Max Sturm has a story.
We're still a few weeks out from the official start of the 2026 Maine football season, but the Black Bears were able to see some real game action with 2 scrimmages over the weekend. Offensively, both the run and pass games looked great, but head coach Jordan Stevens says he was most impressed by the unit's ability to function efficiently.
Our ability to operate improved in between plays, getting calls, getting lined up, trade shift motions, playing within the play clock. I thought all those things really improved, and that's something that we want to be better at this year to start off the season.
Senior wide receiver Evan Wallace credits the play of the 3 quarterbacks and the offensive line to the success of the playmakers downfield.
We saw a lot of success from that. The QBs played great. Offensive line played unbelievable. Our protection was incredible. We had all kinds of time to make things happen down the field, and that's where it just paid off. Everything kind of comes together, and pass game is a reflection of a successful offense, O-line, QB.
Those quarterbacks have been a big talking point with the starting position up for grabs, and Stevens says that decision got a whole lot harder after watching them show out this weekend.
I think that's what's been probably a difficult part, which is great. I think we have a very talented quarterback room, but each of them bring something different. I think some have the ability to run, but they all have strong arms.
Let's not forget about that Black Hole defense, who also made their presence felt over the weekend.
I love how physical we played, how we all pursued to the ball. Like, nobody's above anything. Everybody's just using, one collective mind. We all play hard,
Our linebackers returned from last year. They may not have started last year, but they played in big roles. And just their vocal presence, didn't understand how big of an impact that could be, is to have guys out there that communicate at a high level, how much that can set everyone else at ease.
Week 1 is right around the corner, and safe to say, these guys are ready to go.
We're so ready. We're ready to rock.
You hear guys, they're loud, we're flying around, and it's just, we cannot wait for week 1.
In Orono, Max Sturm, ABC 7 and Fox 22 Sports.
Maine QB battle heating up as well. Hopefully we'll have more to report on that as the week goes on. Well, the Red Sox aren't the only ones playing baseball right now. On Wednesday, the Maine Little League All-Star team moved one step closer to Williamsport for the Little League World Series. The Gray New Gloucester Raymond Stars taking care of Vermont 10-0 on Wednesday. Bottom 2 bases loaded for Pierce McCarthy, who belts a 2-run single to center, giving Maine an early lead in this one. We're going to go to the bottom 5 where this was a great play. Maine is going to have the bases loaded for Drew Clark, who's going to smoke a game-ending grand slam to dead center as Maine goes on to crush Vermont 10-0. So the boys from Gray New Gloucester will take on Massachusetts Thursday night, with the winner moving on to Williamsport in the Little League World Series. That will be on ESPN. Here's a sport we don't get to talk a lot about. Mountain biking is coming to Camden, where the Camden Snow Bowl hosts its first ever Maine Gravity Series Enduro race later this month. The Maine Gravity Series is a 3-race series across the state that showcases the best downhill mountain bikers in the state and features riders from ages under 14 up to 50 plus. The middle race of the series will be held at Camden Snow Bowl on August 29th and 30th, and the other 2 will be held at Sugarloaf and Mount Abram. New England Patriots made headlines on Wednesday ahead of their first preseason game against the Colts, but not for on-the-field reasons. The Patriots held a ribbon-cutting ceremony that officially opened the New Balance Performance Center. The state-of-the-art facility will be used by players, coaches, and other team personnel. It features a modern 92-stall locker room, a brand-new cafeteria you see right now, and was tailored around player needs and requests, as well as a new weight room, training room, hydrotherapy room, player lounge, team meeting room, and much more. They broke ground on the project 20 months ago, but team personnel has been using it since the draft. However, very exciting news for the Pats as they try to keep up with the modern times. For now, that's all the time we have for sports. We'll be right back after the break.
Blazing Trails, located in Lincoln, is your #1 trusted caregiver storefront. From personalized consultations to the highest quality product, Blazing Trails provides outstanding patient services to Eastern and Central Maine. Discover how we're blazing the trails to quality holistic medicine.
If you believe in a campaign that's honest...
Honest. Troy Jackson was accused of mortgage fraud for falsifying documents to get a low-interest loan. Jackson billed taxpayers for massive travel expenses, even though his house was only a few miles from the state capital. Who approved his taxpayer-funded expenses?
He did. And Jackson was known for bullying women. Troy Jackson, falsifying documents, ripping off taxpayers, and a bully we can't trust. Pine Tree Results PAC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
I'm Jim with Lowry Law. One of our clients was badly injured in a hit and run. I was able to work with the police and the DA's office to get him a $500,000 settlement. If you've been hurt by a drunk driver, I'm your go-to guy.
The right dock should fit your shoreline and make life on the water easier, more rewarding, and more fun. When you choose Shoremaster from Hammond Lumber Company, you get all that, along with unmatched strength, versatility, and style. Shoremaster's tool-free Infinity Track system makes adding accessories a breeze. Hammond also offers Polydock floating docks, perfect for deep or fluctuating waters. Transform your waterfront into your personal paradise with a Shoremaster Infinity Dock system or floating Polydock system from Hammond Lumber Company.
In the ICU, I've seen patients being bankrupted by the cost of care, and they're having to travel 3 and 4 hours to receive that care. This didn't just happen. Susan Collins voted to support Donald Trump on the largest Medicaid cut in history. Healthcare is getting even more expensive. People are losing coverage, labor and delivery centers are closing, hospitals are closing. We need to tell Susan Collins to stop siding with Donald Trump. We can't afford it.
Princess Diana's death has unanswered questions. Now, see the car crash from new perspectives.
He loses all control.
But was it an accident?
I think Princess Diana was murdered.
Celebrity Crime Scene, Princess Diana, Thursday, August 20th on Fox.
Blazing Trails, located in Lincoln, is your #1 trusted caregiver storefront. From personalized consultations to the highest quality product, Blazing Trails provides outstanding patient services to Eastern and Central Maine. Discover how we're blazing the trails to quality holistic medicine.
This fall, everyone's favorite small-town doc is back.
The level of stupidity in this town can never be overestimated.
Best Medicine premieres September 22nd on Fox.
Someone could soon be a lot richer as the Powerball jackpot is now worth $1 billion. Tonight's drawing is the 8th largest jackpot in Powerball history. The $1 billion grand prize has a cash-out value of $433 million. The jackpot is also the largest offered by any U.S. lottery game so far this year. Best of luck to anyone with a ticket. Well, one of Maine's oldest and most exciting events kicks off tomorrow. It's the Skowhegan State Fair. The festivities start tomorrow with Dollar Day, meaning admission is only $1. There will be rides, Smokey's Greatest Show every day, live music, along with many delicious food options. On select days, there'll be demolition derbies, truck pulls, harness racing, and other fun entertainment.
Oh, we've got horse shows, we've got sheep shows, contests, blue ribbons, the agricultural aspect as well. We have people who bring their, the foods in for blue ribbon for judging contests. We give away cash prizes. Phenomenal exhibits. Make sure you come see them.
An additional note that if you are 62 or older or a veteran, they will be offering half-priced gate admission on select days. And for more information about tickets, you can check out their website. That's SkowheganStateFair.com. And folks, that is going to do it for us. From everyone here at Fox 22 News, take care and have a great rest of your night. We'll see you right back here tomorrow.
For more local news coverage, switch over to our sister station, ABC7, right now for ABC7 News at 11.
Severe ulcerative colitis or Crohn's disease symptoms despite treatment?
Then you know there can be unpredictability.
Workarounds. And avoiding.
It was time to make a change.
I changed. I changed too.
My doctor recommended Rinvoq, a once-daily pill.
I got rapid symptom relief at 2 weeks. Check. Rinvoq helped visibly repair my intestinal lining. Check.
I got lasting remission, meaning few to no symptoms. Check.
Rinvoq can lower ability to fight infections. Before treatment, test for TB and do blood work. Serious infections, blood clots, some fatal. Cancers including lymphoma and skin. Serious allergic reactions, GI tears, death, heart attack, and stroke occurred. CV event risk increases in age 50 plus with a heart disease risk factor. Tell your doctor if you've had these events, infection, Hep B or C, smoked, are pregnant, or planning. Don't take if allergic or have an infection.
Put UC and Crohn's in check and keep them there with Rinvoq.
Ask your gastroenterologist about Rinvoq.
New tonight on Kimmel, guest host Anthony Anderson welcomes Kyle Chandler, Hannah Einbinder, and Guillermo slips up with the Savannah Bananas.
I feel that coach tricked me.
Stay up, because my mama says so.
New Kimmel, tonight on ABC.
Anthony Anderson guest hosts a new Jimmy Kimmel Live with Kyle Chandler and Hannah Einbinder.
This is ABC 7 News at 11.
In Milo, property taxes